It's over, all over, and soon somebody else will make a fuss about you. But how about me? Hi folks, Ally Waldman here for Sunday with Ally, your Barbra Streisand Videocast. And why am I singing It's Over? How about me? Because tonight is the very last concert of the Back to Brooklyn tour. At least we think it's the last concert. It's certainly the last concert at the Hollywood Bowl, where our friends have been freezing their kishkas off in this only outdoor stop on Barbra's concert tour. I'm certain that somebody is getting their head handed to them for scheduling 2 outdoor concerts in Hollywood in November. Barbra on Friday night came out wearing a... oh, by the way, I should mention, today is November 11th, 2012. It's Veterans Day. So let's have a tip of their cap to veterans who've served. But on Friday night, which was the last night, or the first night of the Hollywood Bowl concerts, November 9th, it was 40 degrees and dropping in Los Angeles. Barbra actually came out in her usual outfit, but later on she needed a coat. She asked for gloves. She was freezing, and she still soldiered through and did the performance. I have photographs of my friends like Matt Howe and Paul Katz who were sitting in the audience, and they were freezing. It was very, very cold, and as wonderful as the music was, it's hard sitting out that long in the elements. It's almost like going to a football game and knowing that you're going to be sitting there in the freezing cold. So tonight is the last night. I'm sure it'll be very, very special. I'm sure it'll be very, very poignant. And as far as we know, this is the end of the Back to Brooklyn tour. Now, as I said, there has been some scuttlebutt that Barbra may be doing a few more concerts of this Back to Brooklyn series, possibly going to South America, maybe Brazil, maybe Japan, maybe Southeast Asia, possibly China, possibly Israel. These are all possibilities, but nothing has been announced yet. So we wait and see. We wait and see. I will say this, the concert really seems to have come together. Now, some people have complained a little bit that, Barbra has been interchanging songs and changing things. For example, she added My Man, she dropped You're the Top, she dropped The Way He Makes Me Feel, but she added On a Clear Day as an opener. There's been a lot of variations. I personally think that it's very smart. Because Barbra needs to keep it fresh for herself. And if you want to see the best of Barbra in concert, I'd rather her, throw in something new one night, sing My Man, sing On a Clear Day, drop something that she's already done in 5 or 6 other performances, just to have a fresher perspective. And I think that's what she's looking for. And I think that's what Richard J. Alexander, her co-director, has been bringing to the process. Also, I think if I have any regret personally, I wish I had gotten a chance to see Roz sing with Barbra, but that did not start until Montreal. So didn't get to see that in Brooklyn. I wish I had, but I did get to see Barbra and Jason, which was pretty magnificent. So I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. By the way, just a little personal update. You'll see that my face has cleared up pretty well from my fall. Apparently I'm quite a fast healer. There's just a little red left. This, however, remains and will remain for another probably 4 or 5 episodes of Sunday with Ally. I did go back to the doctor this week, and it's healing nicely, and I'm learning to live with just, very, very limited mobility of the 4 fingers. But, oh God. By the way, somebody asked me, since I mentioned that I was on my way to early voting when this happened, I tripped on the curb, fell forward on my face and my hand. Somebody said, did I go ahead and vote? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I was not going to go through all of that and not do my civic duty. So I actually got in line and people came over and they gave me an ice pack for my face, and they gave me a Band-Aid for my little boo-boos. And I was standing there trying to compose myself, and they said, do you want to go ahead in the line? Because I don't know if you guys know about this, but in Florida, there were some really terrible stories about people waiting hours and hours in long lines to vote. The line that I happened to be on was not that long. It was probably going to be about an hour. But the first time they asked me if I wanted to jump the line, I said, no, I don't want to do that. You know, I'll wait my turn like everybody else. But then they came back to me about 10 minutes later, and I think my face must have been blowing up like a balloon, because they said, are you sure you don't want to go ahead? So I went ahead and I did I did the voting early and jumped the line and was able to cast my vote. And I'm happy to say that my candidate did win. And, but even if, no, I'm happy that he won, and I'm glad I was able to do my civic duty, because I truly believe that it is everybody's responsibility in a democracy to cast their vote and to be a responsible part of the electorate. Even if you're a Republican, even if you're an independent or a libertarian and not a Democrat, you must act. At least that's how I feel. Enough of the politics. I sound like Katie Morosky all of a sudden. Speaking of Katie, by the way, if you're looking for a good Barbra movie to share with, to enjoy on Veterans Day, The Way We Were is a very, very good choice, because Katie she was definitely working for the war effort. She worked for the, Office of War Information in the radio station. She wanted those soldiers to get through the line in El Morocco. She was definitely, fighting the good cause. And so was Hubble, who obviously was a naval officer. So if you're looking for a Veterans Day Barbra movie, The Way We Were. Now, back to other Barbra news. Let me check my list here. Let's see. Okay. The guilt trip. I'm sorry for the delay, folks. The guilt trip. I hear there's a big publicity push being planned right now, probably being instigated in the next weeks ahead. We are currently at 11/11. The movie's now coming out on December 19th. We're about 5 weeks out. I would say we're going to start seeing a lot more activity. You might have even noticed on Twitter, there is a guilt trip tweet every single day. We're going to start seeing more stuff, more photographs, more information. And what I'm hearing is that Paramount is very, very interested in positioning this film as Barbra's return to the movies. Now, it's true. She did Meet the Fockers. She did Little Fockers. But those were perceived as Barbra sort of doing almost like an extended cameo. It wasn't a Barbra Streisand movie. The Guilt Trip, on the other hand, is truly Barbra as a character, back to her movie-making best, back to, taking part in a film that's going to have some substance. This is not just, I've told you this before, folks, and I'm telling you again, this is not just a light, frothy comedy. There's some really dramatic, good stuff here. A lot of stuff about mothers and sons and families, and what really, what it means, how you perceive your parents, how your parents perceive you. So there's some, I know from reading the screenplay, in the same way, if you remember, Barbra once said that when she got the script for The Way We Were, she had 5 really good scenes in the treatment. And she knew from those 5 scenes that Katie was the character she wanted to play. Well, I think the same thing happened with The Guilt Trip. I think Barbra read Dan Fogelman's treatment or script, and she saw at least 5 really good scenes for Joyce Brewster. And she said, I want to play that part. And I can't wait till we see it, because what we're seeing in the trailer is just really, it's like the whipped cream. Okay, folks? It's the whipped cream. We haven't even gotten to the substance. We're going to get the substance when we see the movie. So that's very exciting. Now, there's also news about Gypsy. Julian Fellows, who just wrote the screenplay, and he's the man who also created Downton Abbey, has a big article in Vanity Fair, which he mentions there's one question about Gypsy, and he says that he's been working with, from Arthur Lawrence's original screenplay or Broadway play, and working with Stephen Sondheim and also the other principals on the script, and he's calling it a reconceptualization, which is a mouthful. But I think it means that they're trying to figure out a way to create a more cinematic version of Gypsy, because the previous versions have all been very, they look like they're from the stage. And I think the idea here is to make it very, very much a film and very, very much cinematic. And I think that's what they've done. And my sources, which are sometimes good, sometimes bad, I'm going to say this one sounds pretty good. They say that they're very, very excited. Joel Silver and Barbara are very, very excited about Fellow's script. They love what he's done. And I've also heard that we may be getting an announcement about Gypsy very, very soon. I think they were waiting for the concerts to be over, and maybe they're waiting right before all this guilt trip stuff kicks in to make the announcement about Gypsy and when they're going to begin. We shall wait and see. I would love nothing more than next week there'll be a nice story in Hollywood Reporter or Deadline.com saying that they're ready to roll, they're ready to announce the director, and they're ready to, get the ball rolling. Now, of course, if Barbara decides to do concerts, that might delay when Gypsy is going to start. We don't know. I'd love to tell you guys that I do know, but I don't. My like I said, my intelligence, my sources have some information, but we wait and see. Now, another nice thing happened this week. Every now and then we get little tidbits. There have been some wonderful reviews. There was a couple of weird reviews that came out. The one guy in San Jose was counting the number of songs and didn't think Barbara sang enough in the concert, which is ridiculous. I sat through the 2 shows in Brooklyn. Barbara sang a lot. Really, much more than, I've seen other people in concert who don't do that much. Barbara does a lot. Did she have guest stars? Yes, but that was to create the entire show, so that you're really, you're getting a full evening of entertainment, not just Barbra Streisand sitting on a stool singing. And I think that's what some people maybe perceive she was going to do. But she doesn't. Adding Roz, adding Jason S., adding Chris Bodie and Il Volo and Caroline Campbell is all part of creating a bigger, better show. And the chorus. I forgot the chorus. But anyway, when Barbara played at the United Center in Chicago, one of the guests in the audience was Larry Gatlin, the country composer and singer. Larry Gatlin wrote How to Win a Friend. And he was one of the guests, and he was invited backstage and met Barbara. And he put this video up on YouTube, which you could probably just search for Larry Gatlin, Gatlin, and Barbra Streisand, and this will come up. And he plays a little bit of Barbara's version of How to Win a Friend, and then he talks about seeing her in concert and what an amazing experience it is. And he said that he calls her the greatest female pop vocalist of his time. And he talked about How to Win a Friend and how beautifully she sang it, and just couldn't have been more effusive. Then he sang a little of the song himself. So if you really want to treat folks, go on YouTube and check out that video, because I think you're going to really like it. By the way, YouTube, you should also make a friend of YouTube, because there's been a plethora of clips of Barbra in concert on YouTube. And so if you want to see snippets of Barbra's concert, if you didn't make it to, Vancouver or Montreal or Toronto or whatever, or Chicago, and you want to see some of it, go on YouTube. A friend of mine, Alec, last weekend spent the weekend just watching Barbra in concert. He wasn't able to go see her this time, so he decided to go online and watch Barbra in concert on YouTube. So we're living in a very miraculous age. I mean, let's face it, as I've been a Barbra fan since 1969. Trust me, in 1972, I knew nothing about live concerts at the Forum until the album came out. There was like nothing. Well, there was a story in Rolling Stone, but it's literally, there was no bootlegs of anything like that. And the same thing, One Voice. With One Voice, we had a couple of news clips, and then we waited till HBO ran the TV special. So we are living in a miraculous time as fans to be able to get this stuff, see this stuff, enjoy this stuff almost instantaneously. So it's pretty cool. By the way, I mentioned this on my tweet. I don't know if anybody got it, but last night or the night before last at the Hollywood Bowl, when Barbra did the concert, and she called to the sidelines to the guys. She said she was going to need a pair of gloves because her hands were cold. Somebody should have said, at least I did, that it was a glove story. Get it? A glove story? Aha. Okay. All right. It's a great job. Let's see. What else is on my list of things to discuss with you guys? Okay. Where are you, my friends? I know right now it's a tough time. Everybody's having a tough time with money and Christmas gifts and Barbra stuff and Barbra paraphernalia. But please, folks, go to eBay. Go to the book patch. Buy your copy of Barbra Memories. Please, please. By the way, I do want to say, for a couple of people who have ordered the book, please be a little bit patient with me. This is slowing me down. It's a little hard to pack things up and, autograph books with this, but I'm doing the best I can. So, but that should not preclude you from ordering your copy. And also online is Between the Grooves, which is the Barbra Streisand discography. It's behind the scenes of what happened in the different recording sessions. So you can find that also on eBay. And if you want an autographed copy, such as it is, of Barbra Memories, if you go on eBay and if you order it there and you send me a note, I will personally autograph it for you, if that's what you want. So that's cool. Now, I wanted to mention something else. Last week I mentioned This Christmas, the Olivia Newton-John, John Travolta Christmas album that came out, and there was some speculation. I had mentioned that one friend of mine, Paul Katz, thought that it might have been a clip of Barbra from Christmas Memories because her vocals sounded so amazing. Well, we have since found out, there was an article in USA Today, that John and Olivia actually recorded their versions of all these songs. Then people like Tony Bennett and Barbra were sent the tracks and asked to sing their part to Olivia and John's tracks. So that is a new track of Barbra. That is not old stuff. Now, the fact that she sounds magnificent is just proof that she is really, really in good voice right now, folks. I think she's, some people have speculated, is she working on her voice? Has she done new exercises? What has she done? I mean, her voice is definitely, she doesn't have the high upper range like she used to, but she can still emote and sing and deliver with so much power and emphasis on the lyrics and the interpretation that's truly what makes her so unique. And you hear that on I'll Be Home for Christmas. I'm kind of surprised that some people have thought this was really cheesy and bad recording. I don't see it that way. I think it's sweet. I actually like it. So maybe I'm cheesy. Maybe that's it. I'm cheesy. So, like I said, it's going to be available, I think, next week, and you can go on Amazon or iTunes, probably buy Barbara's track with Olivia and John if you don't want to buy the whole album, whatever. It bears repeating that Jason's EP is available on Amazon. It apparently is doing very, very well. Jason has done a great job on this tour, and Barbara must be very, very proud of him. And I think this is just the beginning of his recording career. I think he's going to do more. Finally, just sort of to wrap it up, I'm very, very excited about where we are in Barbara world. And, some people, I think, are hedging their bets about Guilt Trip. They're not sure that Guilt Trip is going to be a hit. And all I can say is I have great faith in not only Dan Fogelman's script, which I read, but also the director, Ann Fletcher, has been extremely successful. Her films have made over $1 billion. So I think she has a good grasp on how to tell a good story. Her last movie was The Proposal with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds, and it was very, very successful. I think this movie is gonna really hit the sweet spot. I think a lot of people are gonna go for it. I think it's gonna have what's called in the industry legs. I think it's gonna last through Christmas time into January. I think Barbara is pretty much assured at least a Golden Globe nomination. Oscar nomination, we wait and see. See what the competition is, and we see what her performance is. I don't think we can judge right now because we haven't seen enough. Finally, just as sort of an aside, a throw out there, if you will, I went to see the new James Bond movie yesterday with my husband Leslie, who's the biggest James Bond fan in the world. Well, one of the biggest James Bond. Anyway, if you're looking for a fun movie, go see Skyfall. It's very, very good. And Judi Dench is terrific. And, if there's any justice in the world, she should probably get nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Skyfall. But James Bond movies never seem to get nominated. And the music never gets nominated. Although this year, Adele sings the title song. And Adele's coming off of winning, 5, 6 Grammys? If Adele can't get nominated for Best Song for Skyfall, then that means there's a real bias against James Bond movies. I mean, when you think of Nobody Does It Better, and For Your Eyes Only, and Goldfinger, and Live and Let Die, those are great songs. And not one of them won an Oscar. Go figure, By the way, I wished Barbara had sung Nobody Does It Better. I mean, Carly Simon's version is great, but don't you wish on the movie album Barbara had done one James Bond song? She could have done it as sort of a tribute to James Brolin, who once auditioned for the James Bond role for Octopussy, as a matter of fact. And on the DVD set of James Bond, you can actually see James Brolin doing his James Bond screen test, which was pretty good. But of course, James Bond really does need to be played by a foreigner, a Brit, an Australian, a Scottish, an Irishman. It really can't be played by an American. At least not in my estimation. The only American to play James Bond was Barry Nelson, and that was way back in the 50s on a TV movie, which most people have forgotten. Anyway, it's 23:50, and I'm trying to end this at 24. So until next week, this is Ally Waldman signing off. I will see you next week with more Sunday with Ally, the Barbra Streisand Videocast. Bye-bye.